So recently, I've been dealing with a little bit of sickness, a lot of sickness, actually. And you might even be able to hear it in my voice right now. We're not as strong as we usually are, definitely not as strong as I would like to be. It's been almost a month since I have led worship. Actually, right at a month since I've been able to lead worship. And all of this kind of put me in a bit of a funk, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually also. We get to a point where we're going, and if we don't pause and process all the things that are happening to us, you end up in a situation, like I have been, where it feels like God is saying, hey, just sit down. We're gonna deal with some stuff. It wasn't even my choice, wasn't what I necessarily wanted, but the sickness forced me to stop. So we read in Psalm 23 how the Lord is our shepherd and he makes us lie down in green pastures. And sometimes other people have to come along and make us lie down as well. Now, in my particular situation, it has been, or at that point had been, a really difficult time in my life. It was like one thing after another, not just for, actually none of it really for me, but in those around me that I love, that I care about, from surgeries to sicknesses to the death of a family dog to then my dog getting really, really sick, and just all this stuff. And after about 4 weeks of one thing after another, I woke up one Monday morning and my voice sounded like a baritone, and I'm a soprano. So that was quite a big difference. And I thought, you know what, I'm probably just tired and it's fine. I didn't have any other symptoms, but my voice sounded the way it sounded. And I sat through meetings and I talked as little as I could. But by the end of the day, it was getting kind of painful. No other, no congestion or none of that, just a really weak and kind of painful voice. And then a fever set in. And I thought, I'm gonna just take a day off. I'll run to the doctor. I'll make sure. They did COVID, strep, what's the flu? They did all of these other tests. All of it is negative. And they say, you're getting a cold and it'll last, about a week and you'll be fine. So the next day, the fever spiked to really high fever zone. And then it broke. And then it went up again. And then it broke. And then it went up again. And for about a week, I was dealing with a pretty high fever off and on. And then the fever went away. And I'm like, all right, we're good. We're getting there. And then a cough set in. And it has been here. The cough has been here for quite some time now, for about 5 weeks. And it was really bad. And they told me it'll probably last, a few weeks after you start feeling better. I went to 2 different doctors and both of them said it's a virus. The most they did was give me a little steroid pack, no antibiotics or anything. And then finally, after dealing with this for about 3.5 weeks and getting ready for a trip I had to take for work, I was like, I don't have time anymore. I can't not be healthy. And I went to a 3rd doctor and that doctor said, you're about 24 hours away from pneumonia and you're sitting with 3 different infections all at one time. So she gives me antibiotics. We go through all the different side effects and all the stuff that can happen when you're on really strong antibiotics. And eventually I started feeling better. But we are now 5 weeks out from this situation and my voice is still weak. What would have happened if I had not stopped and just been, okay, I'm just gonna let my body be in charge. And I can't do everything I've been doing. I can't sing. I was trying to, it was not good. I can't do the things that I'm supposed to do for my job. My pastor actually sat me down and said, I don't want to see you in the office this week. I'm not expecting you to say you didn't want to see me. So I'm not expecting to see you in the office this week. We got other people to cover me for worship. I had a great team of people around me covering the things that I needed to get done. It was really bad. I was pretty sick for a while. And I thought about being sat down and being kind of stuck. My world got a lot smaller for 9-10 days. It was reduced from everything that I was used to my house and maybe a doctor's office and the 1 block radius that I walk the dogs, which I sometimes had the strength to do and sometimes didn't have the strength to do. My world was a lot smaller. And in all of that, I was still talking to God. I just wasn't really listening for him. And you would think when we stop, that gives us more time and more availability to just be with the Lord. But I didn't have the energy to hold my head up and listen, and God, what do you want to say? And write it down in my journal. For a solid week, it was pretty rough. And I got to a point where I thought, I'm not taking advantage of the fact that my world has gotten smaller. When our worlds get smaller, that means that our distractions go away. That means that his voice has the potential to get louder. But I wasn't turning up the volume on his voice until I realized that I wasn't turning up the volume on his voice. And then I stopped and I talked to the Lord and I listened to the Lord and I allowed him to speak things that I needed to hear, my soul needed to hear. And a lot of it is stuff that it was the preliminary conversations that I'm having with him that led to a moment of real spiritual breakthrough that I was able to have a few days ago when I was finally out of town at this conference that I was supposed to go to for my job. There was a moment that the Lord really spoke to me, and what he spoke made everything else make sense. And it just got me thinking, we can be very busy and we can pride ourselves on our busyness. We're effective, we're doing things, we're out there, we have a good life, we're not just sitting at home twiddling our thumbs all the time. Like, we have good things to engage in the world around us. And we like that. So what happens when God says, but I need you just to sit down and I need your world to become smaller so that my voice can become louder? What if the moments where our world becomes smaller leads us to a moment of enlarged territory? We read the prayer of Jabez in 1 Chronicles, this idea of, Lord, I want you to bless me. I want you to enlarge my territory. But those moments don't come. We want breakthrough. We want the blessing of God. But those things don't always come until he can ensure that we're able to hold the blessing of God. And so when he tells us, I'm going to make you lie down beside still water here, we should be listening. Because what if that moment where our world becomes smaller is so that he can heal us physically, but spiritually, so that we can listen to his voice, so that we can take note of his dreams. We can hear what's on his mind, what's on his heart, and not just those things which concern us. And when we get really busy, a lot of times, all we're able to focus on are those things that concern us. And we forget that we're made for a bigger vision, and we're made for an enlarged territory. But if we don't take time to just sit down every once in a while, we might miss it.